So, welcome, dear friends. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. So, I was going to see if I could do a little Dharma ramble and meditation as usual, just as um, to say first, I would invite and hope for you to lie down or be in a sitting position as the intention of this is to help relax your body. Over the years, I've heard Dharma talks from many different people, and I've always gravitated towards the ones with gentle voices because I always felt that the gentleness of the voice, the cadence, the rate at which they talk is it's a sign of their dharma. How deeply the dharma is ingrained in their body, where the words are coming from, I guess, is what I'm really trying to say. I guess my body wants to, or it finds most relaxation when it's hearing words transmitted from a place of silence in the person talking. So I try to do that by meditating as I talk and just trust that words will come up. And if they don't, silence is actually quite good. The body likes that too. Of course, there's nothing that really needs to be said, so but I do like this idea of trust. I've pictured it before. I've had some meditations where I came up with an image, or an image came to me, I guess, of this place, deep in the subconscious where all things are born and die. Not really even in the subconscious, it's just a place where where thoughts are born, or thoughts die, and everything, physical objects, living things, thoughts and emotions. I picture that as the surface of a black sea. And if you stay visualizing the surface of the black sea, you might notice a thought arising from it, or something falling into it, disappearing from the realm of the being. So this is where I like to hang out if I can. Um, just allowing thoughts to pop in. And I hope that by doing so, that helps your body to relax. It helps my body to relax, as opposed to the other way of speaking, which is with the brain. The brain already having the thoughts ready to go. It knows. The brain knows, which is kind of the problem. If somebody already knows something and they're telling you, I don't know, there's a little, it's not as interesting like when somebody's just reading a passage from a book rather than instead of just coming up with their own words. It's much more interesting when they're speaking directly. Perhaps because there's a level of vulnerability there, or a level of not knowing what will come next. In a way, reading from a book is dead. Can be. So I guess that's the subject of trust. Trusting in that black sea of birth and death. It's interesting because I feel like, at least personally, I've come a long way in the realm of trust. About 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago, I started leading in the Dharma, in the Sangha, and of course, very nervous at the start. I would prepare a lot, prepare scripts, prepare guided meditations, and just over time, began to notice how it was better if I didn't. It was one of those things that took a long time and many years to play out. Just small shifts towards the direction of trusting a little bit more. And probably some mistakes along the way. Because I suppose it means if you're not willing to trust the moment, the Dharma, then it's like you're protecting yourself. That's the ego protecting itself. So then if the ego is protecting itself, then that's the ego talking. Nobody really wants to hear that. That's what we hear every day and every other thing. Everywhere else is people's egos talking. We come to places like this to hopefully, if possible, find people, find spaces where we recognize just how ego, I don't know the right word, ego corrupts things, ego is bad, ego, it just makes things uncomfortable, complicated. So yeah, there's 5 billion videos on YouTube of people attempting to bolster their egos, sell some crappy product so they can get richer, or whatever. But yes, as I've taken more and more steps into trust, it's really opened up my life, opened up my heart. And I know there's further to go. So the last thing I have had on my mind to share with you is starting meditation. It's so common for me to start a meditation and have just a busy mind. And that can be disappointing, frustrating. Sit down, the hopes and purposes of actually meditating for once, and all you can do is think. You can't stop it, and you've decided to. I'm finally gonna do a daily sitting practice. Blah blah blah. 20 minutes. Yeah, yeah. And you sit down, and it's just thinking. And so, what do you do with that? I think it's easy to get frustrated, fight against it. But to me, that's not really the right way to go about things, even though I'm sure I do that on a regular basis. But I thought with the guided meditation today, I could maybe just help to visualize the situation of the busy mind. And instead of trying to fight it, just to observe it. And by doing so, it takes the wind out of its sails and it can gradually settle. But also, there is an element of time involved, and I think it's important to accept that it will take some time. And maybe it won't happen. Maybe the mind is just too strong this day. But in any case, it will take some time for the mind to gradually settle. So in addition to monitoring the mind, it can be good to monitor the other areas of the body like the heart and the shoulders. Because they can be holding tension in the fight against this brain. Or maybe the brain has them revved up and excited, ready to clench. So just ring the bell. I do want to apologize for my little vocal tick of saying just. I'll just do this. Probably true that my level of mindfulness is not, my centeredness is not quite as strong today. So I'll admit that. These videos help me. That's most of their purpose, is to help me get centered. So I don't always start in a serene mind state. That is part of why it's called meditating together, because probably most of you aren't starting with an extremely serene mind state. So just allowing your body to relax. Coming into this guided meditation, feeling the way the chest rises, the chest falls, feeling how the shoulders subtly change positions. As the upper chest fills with air, breathing in and breathing out. And maybe you do notice your mind still active. Seeing the areas of the mind like the upper forehead, the area behind the eyes. Are those areas clenched, and are your eyes moving? Like a washer spin cycle, watching the clothes spin around and around and around. Just watching the movement of the brain, the thoughts, which might be like a geyser You imagine yourself sitting next to a geyser, a small one, in front of you, and you can watch the thoughts come up out of the ground. You can just see how fast the movements of the mind are. Is it thought, 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 thought? Maybe slower, maybe faster. Just watching this geyser and the thoughts coming out of it. One by one, little bits of thought rise up out of the ground, shooting into the air. And maybe you watch the base of the geyser as each thought comes up. Or maybe you watch one individual thought as it flings itself way up into the air. Then look back down at the base of the geyser again. How many thoughts are coming out now? Is it thought, thought, thought? It's okay. No need to control. Maybe, just maybe, after some degree of time, things start to settle down. And you realize where you are. Sitting in a dimly lit forest, pine forest, cool weather, the breeze, the wind blowing through the tree trunks. Your feet crunching on pebbles on the ground. No one else around for many miles. So much so that you can completely relax anything that's on your mind, on your body, socially. Just out here in nature, putting down any regard for the world of mankind. There's a small stream nearby that you find yourself called to. You start to walk that way, one step at a time. Each footstep, your foot making contact with the bare earth, the dirt, the pebbles. And walking at such a slow pace, because you know there's no such thing as hurry. Out here in this place where time is eternal, the trees, the trees breathe the air, living hundreds, many hundreds of years. As their branches and leaves slowly filter the air, the wind passing through their leaves and needles, exchanging gases back into the atmosphere. And you recognize in this moment that the trees are your lungs. The trees are inside your body. breeze inside your body. And as you breathe in and you breathe out, the wind fills the trees with blowing air and blows back by again. The trees, your lungs being moved by the air. As you breathe in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Continuing our walk towards the stream. We look around at the forest. And feeling much more peaceful and easeful than before. We start to notice that the forest, which one was somewhat gray, that there are actually flowers, colorful things tucked in, hidden areas. And as we walk, we experience some joy from seeing these colorful flowers, the skittering mice, and all the many beautiful things of the forest. As we feel the joy from this, the sun starts to shine a bit brighter. It's early morning light sending shafts through the trees. The lights landing on our chest, on our heart. Light from the sun bathing our chest, bathing our heart, bathing our whole body. Warmth, sun growing more intense and warm. We stretch out our arms in the middle of this forest, feeling the warmth and glory of the sun shining all over our whole body. The sunlight eating away at the boundaries of the skin, warming and melting. And the goodness and the joy that arise within us at feeling this wonderful bathing sunlight start to open our hearts, our heart blooming, unfolding just like a flower. Just like a rose, petals unfurling. Little by little as the warm sunlight touches, lands on every petal of our heart. And feeling the soft, tender, velvety petals of our heart. Feeling the nourishment of the sun, feeling the sunlight landing on them, petals growing warm. even opening and exposing its very center. Exposing its very center to the sun. The thing we hold most private, most deep. The thing that scares us most. The part of ourself that we're sure can't be loved. And we're sure isn't worthy. Opening up that very part, ever so meekly at first, and allowing just a small amount of sunlight to begin to bathe it. And the parts of you that object and say, no, but I'm not. Sunlight falling on those parts, loving them. All the embarrassing things you remember, and all your failures, all your shame, just presenting it held out in open hands to the beautiful sun. And looking back down at the forest now, we see that the entire forest is in bloom. Matching our joy and our liberated feeling. Flowers everywhere, butterflies. The green undergrowth. Animals, deer. Just a beautiful sight of color, nature. And we continue our walk. One step, one footstep. We watch as our bare feet strike the ground. One barefoot, seeing our toes. We make our way to the small stream. Seeing the way it meanders through the forest. Some small fish inside. Water bugs skirting the surface. And we kneel down beside the stream. And dip our hand in the cool water. And we vow to enter this stream, relinquishing everything, allowing all our clinging, relinquishing every part of our ego, fully, fully entering the stream, being washed away, dissolving our body into the stream. Relinquishing more and more of the things that hold us back. Our body, our mind opening up wider and wider. Relinquishing any notion of who we are, our soul opening up wider and wider, being swept away by the stream as it grows larger, larger. Carrying us away into the realm of pure consciousness. All boundaries fade away. just knowing, experiencing sounds. Following the stream for as long as you want. It carries you through larger and larger rivers to the wide, vast ocean. Freedom and release. Only knowing, only experiencing. And I'll leave you with that, my friends.